what marriage does not have issues?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have issues, maybe you should look into that a little bit deeper, because part of knowing that you're in a healthy marriage is having issues, having conflict, and working towards conflict resolution with your partner.
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. Got Waz here with me today, and we got a special guest, Taylor Gilson. Thank you for joining us, Taylor.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
So tell me, you're a therapist, a counselor,
That's correct? Yep.
What led you to this type of career? And tell me about your journey.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I've always had a calling towards people. I love people. I love being of assistance to people in their time of need and just creating a space to facilitate a conversation surrounding, their unique challenges and goals and how we can, overcome them, in a very real, impactful, individual way. So being a counselor, I think, is really at the core of who I am and my identity. As it relates to being a business owner, I always joke they taught me how to be a clinician. They did not teach me how to be a business owner. So we just celebrated at Mid-Mitten Psychological Services 18 months open. Wow. Yes, we are really making an impact in the community in a very short period of time, which I'm happy to see. I always joke that Mid-Mitten Psychological Services is my last child because it was born 2 months after my last child was born. Mm-hmm. So my last child has sort of grown up with the business. Yeah. And so it's been an incredible opportunity to have, outreach in the way that's meaningful and impactful. And I'm very humbled to be in a position to be able to achieve that.
Right. So what are your specialties, I guess? So I actually considered going into becoming a substance abuse counselor because my natural calling is to help people. Right. And that was on my list. Yeah. But I have more passion for fitness and just being active. That's my wheelhouse. So what's your specialty that if you were to say your target market that comes to you for help?
Yeah, so marriage and couples counseling, and also working with families in a very intimate way. Sometimes we talk about how to increase trust in a relationship, how to increase communication, identification of needs. Like, what are your actual needs in this marriage? What are the expectations and boundaries in your marriage, and helping clients to more clearly identify that. Sometimes, not always, we're having the conversation of how do we recover from infidelity? What does that look like to regain trust in your relationship and to help you really process those experiences and move forward in a meaningful way? So I just have a heart for couples. I love that dynamic in couples and kind of watching that unfold and celebrating the progress in their marriage or in their relationship as a whole. And helping them really to identify and overcome any barriers that they're experiencing within their relationship.
Yeah, so couples counseling is like your wheelhouse.
That's my gig. And from my understanding, not a lot of people provide it in the area. So I'm one of few. And I like to think I'm making a positive impact and doing a good job. And so, we are here to support that at Mid-Mitten Psychological Services.
Yeah. Do you do any other therapy?
Yeah, so we work with ages 4 and up, so children, adults. We also can work with them on an individual level as well, not just couples. And developing a treatment plan that is catered around their goals and their unique challenges and needs. I have other therapists on staff as well that are highly specialized and effective at what they do. And they can offer also a range of modalities to help support whatever an individual client's needs are.
A lot of people don't know this, but I was in counseling as a young child. Okay. And the reason was because my parents got divorced and I was really struggling to kind of grasp what is my life going to look like now? Right. What does my dad not love me because he moved out, so I was going to see the counselor in that time. I remember I was really reserved
Sure.
It was, I'm assuming it's a challenge to get a child to, I think I was like 11 at the time.
Yeah.
But to get someone to open up and be able to actually help them, because I know it took probably like, I don't remember, it's been a long time, I'm 40 now, so I was maybe like 3 sessions before I started actually opening up, and it's important work.
Absolutely. My specialty is obviously not working with children, but we have therapists on staff that do. And from my experiences and with my therapist experiences, I can say that that's a lot of the work that's done is just, number one, creating a safe space to even facilitate those conversations. And we do that by developing relationship first and foremost. And sometimes, not always, but that can be also through the modality of like play therapy as well. Kind of just giving an opportunity to get on that child's level and truly hear their experience in a way that they feel safe and supported.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. It can be profoundly impactful and beneficial to someone who is actively pursuing it or needs it.
I think there's a lot of connections between what you do and then what we do as trainers, because a lot of it's establishing a rapport with an individual, creating a connection in the beginning, right? And then coaching them from there.
And she had touched on twice, it's that trust, whether it's with the couples or a kid, any which way. You have that trust, you're more comfortable. And the more you'll open up, whether it's working out, whether it's talking, right? You don't trust somebody, you're not saying anything. You are still a closed door. But when you feel comfortable, it's easier to get vulnerable.
And I think for us, it's more of just like we become a soundboard just for people to vent, right?
Right.
Because I'm not qualified to give advice, and I wouldn't want to lead someone astray, but it's like some people are just, they come in and that's where I guess it kind of bridges into the next topic, the benefits for mental health from exercise, because I think a lot of people come in to the gym and they can be stressed out. And then whatever's going on, it can be work, it can be relationship. And I have a phrase I always use, mad, sad, or glad. After a workout, I always feel better.
Isn't that's true?
So,
very true.
And what I feel like it does for me is if I'm angry, I'm elevated, I'm up here, brings me down here. If I'm elevated and I'm happy, brings me down here. If I'm sad, brings me up. So there's some science behind it.
Yeah.
And then I guess, tell me about the connection with exercise from your perspective.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, as a disclaimer, I am a mental health provider. I'm not a physician. I don't claim to be a dietitian. So obviously this is loosely based knowledge from my understanding of the relationship between physical and mental well-being. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this you guys probably already know. When we exercise, we release endorphins. Endorphins then elevate mood. And in turn, increase levels of serotonin and dopamine in the body, which also helps to regulate mood, right? So it's, there's a lot of, parts in play there to help the individual, completely get the benefits of exercise. Also, as we know, exercise, decreases cortisol in the body, which helps with a person's state of relaxation and also is very promoting to an individual's sleep. So I get clients who, suffer from anxiety and depression, and they're like, I'm having a hard time sleeping. Like, I'm staying up at night and I just have racing thoughts and rumination. And, I'm not really sure what the cure is to that. And my question usually is, how active were you today? Like, did you go to the gym? Did you go outside? Did you get your feet on some grass? Like, a lot of this, is in our design as human beings. Like, we're already physiologically designed, towards getting the benefits of wellness when we choose to eat healthy, when we choose to exercise. as it relates to addiction, clients who maybe suffer from like alcoholism, for example, using alcohol as a substance to help them sleep and to help them get in that state of relaxation, unbeknownst to them, what they don't realize, it's actually negatively impacting their sleep. It's fragmenting their sleep. It's actually making them more drowsy and exhausted the next day. And so, obviously exercise plays a huge role in our cognitive performance, our mood, our reduction of our stress, and our ability to get the type of quality sleep that we need to be functioning, citizens, and that actually kind of leads me to my question for you, Adam. And feel free to also pitch in on this. What has been your guys' experience in the role of exercise as it relates to coping with addiction? Like, what have you found to be true with your clients as it relates to that?
You want to lead?
Go for it.
So as far as coping with addiction, and I'm going to use myself as the first example.
Right.
So right off the bat, when I got into recovery court, what was missing from my life, that having a workout schedule and a routine, it brought some structure in, right? So my days, I'd be structuring my day out, and I'm like, okay, this is my workout time. Here's my meal times, because the two go hand in hand, nutrition and exercise.
Right.
So I would schedule out my meals. I knew what I was eating for breakfast. I knew what I was eating for lunch. I knew what I was eating for dinner. I knew what my workout, and I train a lot of upper lower split type stuff. So I'm like, all right, I knew exactly what my workout was. I could visualize it, and it gave me something to really focus on. And then the added benefit is, I look at it as all my past behaviors when I was using drugs, alcohol, were kind of like, think of it as bank transactions. I was withdrawing from my physical health, my mental health. And then going to the gym is the exact opposite. Instead of withdrawing, I'm depositing. So I'm adding years back to my life. That not only, I always tell clients, like, you can add years to your life here in the gym. You can literally become healthier, preserve heart health, better body composition,
Right.
all these things. And what you can do is, when you're 70, 80 years old, and you can still squat, you can still pick stuff up from the ground, you can still go hiking. Now we're adding more, it's cliche, but we're adding life to your years, right? So that's outside of just addiction and recovery. But in general, a lot of the people that I got into recovery right around the same time as, and some even before or after me that have came along, the people who have embraced fitness, helps with anxiety, it helps with the depression, like you were saying, and they're still in recovery these days. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the new high, right? I think a lot of it starts out as a time filler, and you grow to like it, and that feeling. And I mean, like you touched on, I spent 20 years, destroying my body, not worried about tomorrow. It was just, wasn't a conscious decision, but it's what you were doing. And then in the gym, it changes. It was a time filler. I had no intentions of, weighing so much or moving so much weight. That was never in the plan or any goals starting out. But that feeling and become the new drug of choice.
That's just like the coolest part, though, I'm thinking about while you're talking, like how, I had all these goals in the beginning and I accomplished goals, and then I'm like, how the journey, everything has just evolved, and I have new goals, and now that I'm
on a stick.
Right.
it's a carrot. I'm just chasing the carrot, right? It's
Yeah.
that's kind of, I feel like, I mean, takes a little bit away from what it is, because when I'm thinking workouts from when I was in my 20s and I'm like, I'm going to hit 400 on the squat, I'm going to deadlift 500, I'm going to bench this, now it's like, I want to increase my mobility. I want to feel better. I want to move better. I still want to be strong, but I want to be able to do these things when I'm, 70, 80 years old. I want to be able to plank for 5 minutes at 75. That would be cool, right?
Right.
Like, so now my vision, instead of being like weight strength, is evolved to more of a longevity perspective.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think what you've described to me, kind of from both of your perspectives, is like the carrot on the stick. Like, I don't know if you ever fully arrive. Like, I feel like from my personal and professional experience, you think you're doing well, and whether it's, in your personal life or your professional life, and it's like, but what can I do beyond my comfort?
Yeah, you are doing well.
Right.
But then it just, that finish line just continues
to extend itself.
And because you get to where you wanted to. And you look back, and that's, your big mile markers. That was huge. That was the goal. I hit that 3 marathons ago.
Right.
Right. It's chasing the horizon, or the end of the rainbow, however you want to look at it, because you don't arrive. You just keep moving. Right. You hit it, but there's no, woohoo. Now what? Now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. I often find that the celebration is not as exciting as the journey.
Yes.
I think it's the struggle of like overcoming and doing hard things that makes life so fun. And, and even working with my clients, it's like, they think they've met their objectives, but I'm like, okay, well, what's beyond this? How can we grow a little bit more than where we were last session? And helping them to see that the potential of hope and progress is very real and it's very possible. And also like being a living example of that. Like, as we can sit on these couches and we can talk about growth and progress and overcoming obstacles, but if we're not actively like doing hard things in our life and we're not demonstrating that to our community, to our clients, like what are we here for actually? And so I know from a personal and professional level, like that's pivotal. Like we have to be doing hard things in order to move forward.
I want to come back to that, but I want to actually shift real quick to something I've encountered with clients that I see as kind of a roadblock in what we're talking about, how those goals kind of shift. And what I see sometimes is a client will have a goal, and I call it a destination goal. So it's specific to an event. Like, I want to run a 20-minute 5K. Once that is accomplished, they're like, the box is checked and they're done. Or it's, I want to be X amount of pounds for X event, or I want to fit into this dress for my wedding. Like, people get these destination goals, and then they put in, they do great up to the goal. They get it, they accomplish it, and then it just, there's nothing, because they hit their goal. It just kind of crumbles away. So I try and get clients with these type of goals to think, I try and lead them beyond that. So what's the plan after, September 14th when you get married, whatever it is, like, what's the plan after that? Are you going to continue with the fitness journey? Are you going to continue? Just food for thought for them to kind of get them thinking past that specific time frame. But do you want to add anything to
I
that?
mean, absolutely. If I were to feed off of that, I think, that's a profound statement, helping the client to see past the horizon. I think that's where kind of I come into play as a therapist, is providing a space for a client to say, how can we look beyond our goals? Like, what do you actually value in this life? Is it time with your family? Is it your health? Is it your finances? What ultimately, if we were to take a value assessment, is important to you, and how can we integrate this into a lifestyle rather than just a short-term, objective, and so I think a lot of it is assessing and developing a strategy around our rituals and our little micro choices that kind of somehow add up to larger choices, and integrating that into a lifestyle rather than an objective, and helping clients to see beyond, when I arrive to this point, so to speak.
And that's like habit formation.
Yeah.
When you talk substance abuse, it's in recovery, it's like there's a habit, there's a cycle every day. For when I was drinking, it was, like get out of work, stop at the Westco gas station, get 2 half pints, drink one on the way home, one when I get home. Like that was my routine. It was just like, and I do not advocate drinking and driving. It's a terrible decision. Do not do it. I don't care if you think you're good at it. Eventually, it'll bite you in the ass. Back to...
true.
Yeah.
I second that.
So it's like, that was my habit, right? And for me to break that felt very, very strange, right? So, and that's part of, I think, the substance abuse. Once you just get into it, even if there's not a physical dependence, it's still just like, well, this is what I do.
Yeah.
So breaking that down now for me, and it's a positive, something positive for my body, my mind, my health, is if I miss a workout, I'm like, I'm thinking about it. Like there's a meme with, I think it's from the Narcos TV show with the guy sitting on the bench. Like that's what I think of as me.
That. Yeah. You're like, what do I do? It's like calculating math.
Yep. So that's me.
Yeah.
Just habit formation.
Yeah.
I guess
Absolutely.
You coach you coach your clients on habit formation, I'm sure. Part
of what you described to me is also triggers. Triggers come in the form of three things: people, places, and things. If your habit is to go to the store, on your way home from work or whatever, as a therapist, my job is to assess, okay, what are your triggers? Let's help to identify that. Secondly, how can we cope effectively in response to your triggers? And if the answer is that we can't cope effectively, we might need to develop a different strategy.
Take a new way
Maybe
home.
you take a new route,
right.
And so my job effectively is to help a client to feel that there's potential for change and there's hope. And if something seemingly feels too alarming or too difficult for them, okay, how can we get around this then? And then maybe eventually in the future, as they take a new route and they're further along in their recovery, maybe they're able to access that trigger in a way that they feel they can adequately respond to. But it's increments. It's one step at a time to get them towards that direction.
Yeah, part of my journey was, I tried to change my people, places, and things.
Yeah.
And it was like a great idea in my brain. I'm like, I'm just gonna leave Midland. I was on parole at the time, and I'm like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because it was the people around me and my friends and all those triggers. Well, I get up to Cadillac. I didn't change any of my thinking patterns.
Right.
So I started attracting a different people, like complete strangers that were the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was gravitating towards that stuff, not so in a sense for me it was the people, places, and things, but it was also my thinking that was leading to those patterns.
Yeah, and what you've sort of described to me is the cycle of avoidance. The more we avoid, the more we escalate this anxiety inside of us. And so the answer to that and the solution, and it's not an answer that everyone feels comfortable hearing, but the answer is engagement. Doing the things that are hard and difficult in a way that is comfortable for us, but also not uncomfortable for us, and finding that middle path between, is this too hard or too difficult? Is this too hard or too easy? Like, I want to be just anxious enough. The goal is to be anxious so that you can overcome your anxiety symptoms or at least reduce them. And so, my job as a therapist is to help my client rear them towards the things that are anxiety provoking. so that they can be less anxious over time and be able to cope with life more effectively.
Yeah. Doing hard things is important.
Yeah.
That's where the 75 hard came in, right? It creates new habits.
Right.
I think, I think about all the clients and consultations that I've had, and you talk about anxiety, and with gym goers, I think a lot of people get in their heads about, well, I got to get in shape to go to the gym, or like people don't want to walk in as they are.
It's like, I need to be, I can't be a sinner and or go to church.
Right.
It's like, well, isn't that what it's for?
Right. and I try and tell people, like, the gym is going to be one of the, specifically, if you're coming to see me, it's one of the most, I don't look scary, do I?
Yes. Right. It's a sanctuary for people who are intimidated or otherwise intimidated to.
It makes me think of my first meeting I went to when I got home from rehab. And I walked through the door and I was so anxious to go in there, like just super anxious. And I walked through the door and I seen people that I knew from my using days, and they were so happy to see me there. And it's the same thing. Like, you may not feel as warm of a welcome as I did to see, like, a guy I got high with in 9th grade that's clean and sober, that's like, Adam, you're finally here. But you come to the gym and it's like, it's a community.
Absolutely.
And with community comes connection. And I know one of the biggest problems with substance abuse, and I would say depression, is isolation.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I think kind of what you're describing is, our primary goal at Mid-Mitten Psychological Services is to be a space of refuge for people, no matter what their background is, no matter what their life experience is. We want you to know that you are being treated without judgment and unconditional positive regard with whatever it is that you're experiencing in your mental health journey. And we do pride ourselves at providing exceptional customer service. We're going to answer on the first ring. You might get a bottled water, a Diet Coke on your way in if you're sitting. We're going to acknowledge you when you're sitting there until we can get to you. We want our clients to feel that they matter and they're important, because they do.
that's why I tell all my good jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, for the same reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good jokes.
I had some real doozies today.
Are you going to, do you want to rip one off? This is your opportunity.
So, knock, knock.
Who's there?
You're up.
You're up who?
I am not.
Oh, dang. Okay. So what, you're down?
No, I'm not a poo.
Oh, got it.
Hey, Waz. Knock, knock. Just play along.
You kill me. It's for her.
All right, knock, knock.
Who's there?
I eat mop.
I eat mop poo.
Do you?
Oh, really?
See, yeah. I mean,
that's bad, but
it is terrible. These are like,
but then laughter increases dopamine, right. So like you're helping people to feel good already.
Right, and it's just when you. He loves my jokes.
Yo,
we have a client named Rich. There's two of them, both named Rich, and shout out to you guys. Walked into the classroom one day, and they're both in there, and I'm like, wow, it's really rich in here today. It's cheesy, but it's just creating an atmosphere of comfort, right?
Yeah.
When people are laughing. And
absolutely.
It sounds like, maybe not as funny, but coming into the office there.
No, but it is sometimes. Like, I feel like people have there's a myth surrounding therapy that it's like always serious and we're like always working on or towards something. And like we are. But also like it's a simple or organic conversation between two people or two or more people. And sometimes that comes with just like celebrating life's achievements and celebrating life's progress. Like not every session has to be doom and gloom. We can talk about the good too. And if we can provide a space in this world where we can laugh while also being serious, while also feeling comfortable enough to be open and honest, I think what you're describing is just one of many moving parts in efforts to promote change in an individual. So absolutely, I mean, I would definitely sign off on that.
I think there's a stigma around counseling.
Yeah, tell me more.
And I think that it's like it just mental health in general. And I think it's lessening because I know I can't tell you their names, but there's a bunch of high performers that I know of, not even locally, but nationally, that are they go see therapists regularly, like scheduled. Like I'm going to see them once a month.
Yeah.
And it helps with processing, goal setting, all sorts of stuff. And I think about it like we take care, if you're thinking optimal performance of the human body, mind, body, spirit, everything.
Yeah.
Trainers, or if you're at the gym, right? That's the physical portion. Spiritual portion
Absolutely
would be church, meditation, prayer. Those three.
Spiritual is an area of wellness that people often overlook. And it is pivotal, if not essential, to analyze that area of your life and look more closely into that. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And then I always, group mental and emotional in this aspect as, one, because it doesn't necessarily mean like I'm going in because I'm emotional about something.
Right.
Or I'm a head case, so I need to go in. And I think that's part of the stigma is that people go in because they can't handle it on their own.
Right.
And that's not the point, right? It's a sounding board.
Yeah.
It could be like, hey, Taylor, I have these business goals. This is kind of, I know you're not a business counselor, but, do I have grandiose thinking in this? Do you think like, and just being able to be coached by a professional in that sense.
Absolutely. I mean, what you described to me as far as these, these professionals that are excelling in their career and their independent achievements, that would make sense to me. As the saying goes, it's lonely at the top, right? Who do you go to when you're breaking, generational curses in your family and you're doing hard things and you're finding yourself in a position in life that, your ancestors or the people before you, have never even dreamed or imagined? Who do you talk to, as it relates to those things? And so I think that that's one of the advantages of therapy is saying, look, I don't have it figured out. I have a general sense of my ambition and my direction. Can you just hear me out loud? Like, sometimes I don't know about you guys, I'm an external processor. Sometimes I just need to just say everything out loud outside of me and look at it, objectively in order to get some resolve and the answers that I need. And then oftentimes once I do that, I feel a lot better about my sense of direction and the outcome, and confident in that. And it's hard to do that, when you're doing things other people just aren't doing or they can't understand. So having a professional come alongside you and go, have you thought about this? Or have you looked at life from this perspective? Or, how can you challenge that thought in a way that's more promoting to your well-being and in your purpose? That's kind of the role that we play as far as helping that client to have some sense of direction.
You're like a thought shepherd, right?
In some regard, yeah. I mean, our ultimately our job is not to, displace judgment or to tell people what to do or think. I think that's also another myth when it comes in relation to counseling.
With some of my experience, and it's that seed gets planted.
Yeah.
And like you said, as I'm saying, I all of a sudden don't need to hear anything back because you planted the seed. And here as I'm speaking, I got my answers. I know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong.
Exactly.
Just with my own where it's, all of a sudden that sentence goes ... Right. As it's, the light bulb is going off
Yeah.
Just like the comic strip.
Absolutely. And I would say, we describe that as person-centered treatment, right? So oftentimes you have the capacity to create your own answers to whatever problems that you're experiencing in your life. Our job is to kind of facilitate a safe space and ask the right questions to help you get there, right? We're not going to, so often people think when they think about therapy, they're like, you're just going to tell me what to do, right? And it's like, no, we don't do that. We create a space and environment to help you figure out the solutions to whatever you're experiencing. And then ultimately people, leave our office feeling better and thinking clearer. And so it just offers a space to kind of sort out your thoughts more effectively and to feel better about the way that you're engaging with your life.
Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. Yeah, I think I'm thinking about like the stigma with marriage counseling, even, or couples therapy. And then like, people don't want to be seen, because if there's marriage issues, then what's going on? The community will gossip, right? So, but I think the service that you offer, that all therapists offer, is really like underutilized.
Yeah, absolutely. And my response to that, Adam, would be, what marriage does not have issues? If you don't have issues, maybe you should look into that a little bit deeper, because part of knowing that you're in a healthy marriage is having issues, having conflict, and working towards conflict resolution with your partner. Right? If things are good all the time, well, I'm sorry, but are you the same person? Did you marry yourself?
Right.
Oftentimes that never happens.
Right.
And so I think number one, it's perfectly okay to say, yes, we have issues. Number two, I think that a couple acting on their choice to seek couples or marriage counseling, that is evidence to suggest that they care enough about the well-being of their marriage to work through their issues.
Right.
So to me, it's evidence that you truly do love your partner or your spouse, and that you're willing to do what it takes to maintain the sanctity of that relationship, which can be, a beautiful and powerful thing to see.
And then what grows from that, right?
Yeah.
A deeper connection, even deeper relationship. And a lot of the relationships I've had in my life weren't because I've had during my adult years, I had so many of them that were, I guess you could say, my significant other at the time had a substance abuse issue too. So it was like there was that third entity in our relationship where it was like her and I and the drug.
Right.
So things were never really good unless we were both high.
Right.
And then was there even really a connection there?
Yeah.
And I've been blessed to have a meaningful relationship with my wife, and I've seen like my past relationships were they were codependent in a lot of ways with the drug. Like there was that triangle. That relationship didn't exist without the substance, right?
Right,
So
right.
I don't know, just thought I had.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because the research indicates that when two people are in relation with each other and they're also struggling with substances or addiction in general, high chance it's very hard to maintain the integrity of their sobriety. Obviously, this is not my specialty, but this is kind of based on my limited knowledge of that, and so what would you say to someone? I guess I'll open this up to both of you. Like, what would you say to someone, or, have you ever met a couple, who struggle with substances in any capacity, who both struggle with substances, and like, what would you say to them? Or like, what have you found that has helped them to maintain the integrity of the relationship while also having that common background?
So I'm trying to think of a couple that were in active addiction together.
Yeah.
That both got sober, that
right.
are still together.
So what does it mean that you can't think of one?
I'm sure.
That's maybe
I'm
we
sure,
need. So like maybe we need to give credence to that. That like we have to look at the stats at some point. I know you love each other, right? But if we cannot find a plan that works for both of you to maintain the path of sobriety, then what are we doing here? Like this sounds fundamentally like dangerous.
Like you said, I'm sure there's a handful of cases of it, but
right, there's always exceptions.
You have to reach rock bottom together, and usually people are finding that rock bottom and that reason to change on their own.
Yeah,
it's usually not that team effort.
Right.
We could have been in the same vehicle together, and he wakes up from it and he changes. I still need a couple more years. I need something else to actually scare me, because now I think I'm Superman and invincible, and we might still both get that same point, but doing it at the same time and having that same impact is. I mean, we know a few couples that were both in addiction that are now well into recovery that are together, but
right.
They found the whole thing together. I can't think of any.
Yeah, because a lot of the beginning is foundation building. Like you peel the drugs away or the alcohol, and it's like, I mean, for me, I was so deep in it. I was like, who am I?
Yeah.
Without this, like I had to rebuild this foundation from the ground up, and I feel like, in terms of if I would have been doing it with a significant other at the time, like how do you join these foundations and stay? I mean, both. Because what if this person's triggered and they go out and relapse? Then how does this affect, like, that back and forth? Is it a couple's relapse, or is it like a cleaver between them? Like you relapsed and put me at risk of relapse because you brought drugs in the home, or so there's a lot of layers to that you could get into.
I just had a good friend this weekend had that happen, and it's like it's weird to say, but I had to put myself first. The relationship's over. I still care about her very much, but that is not going to be part of my life anymore. And it was a rough one sitting next to him, talking, going through, and I mean, he had his answers. He did just he needed to say it out loud, because it's a tough situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you definitely, I mean, it's a vulnerability in playing with fire if you're gonna allow that,
Right.
But like, I'll reference, because they've been guests on here before. Joel and Ashley, both in recovery, and they sat here and discussed it. They both, went through relationships in recovery before they found each other, and they have a wonderful relationship now. And I think too is part of their success is the level of communication that they have between them.
Right.
And that's an outside observation. Mm-hmm. Joel, Ashley, you could chime in the comments and tell me if I'm wrong. But I mean, I think it's possible for people who have found recovery on their own to come together. But it's also like, I'm going to reference my marriage, my relationship with my wife. She's what I call a normie. She doesn't have an alcohol or drug problem, never has. And I still remember it very vividly. She had a summer shandy. It was on the counter. It was sweating. And I'm a little over 2 years in. And I'm like, I don't want this bottle wasted. So I'm like, hey, she's outside in the yard. I'm like, hey, do you want this? She's like, no, you can dump it. And it just blew my mind because that's not how I drank. It's not how even with drugs, if I had X amount of drugs, I would just continually get higher and higher till they were gone. Yeah. So kind of highlights, I guess, I don't know if it's a personality trait. For me, when I do something, I go all in.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like that kind of distortion of all or nothing thinking.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of them. Yeah, that's one of them. You know.
Well, to highlight what you said about being a normie, like a person might not struggle with addiction, but not all of their life is normal. Like we all have our own personal struggles that we maybe keep inside or internalize or we don't share, So I love that's a great deal of why I wanted to be on this podcast, is because you guys have such a level of openness and vulnerability, as to your personal story and your experiences and kind of what brought you to this point. And I think it's really good that just the general public and the viewers able to see that, hey, if there's potential and there's hope for them, there's hope for me. Right?
That's literally why we do this, to carry the message and highlight there's so much winning. Like, so many people are just doing phenomenal at their jobs. And to reference some previous guests, like Dan James, this guy, substance abuse, prison. He's in college. He's what, 50? Yeah. It's never too late, right?
No,
and
it really is not.
To be able to show the community, like, look at what he's doing. And it's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I myself, am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm unashamed to express that. There were times in my life where I felt hopeless and helpless. And, even to be sitting on your couch today is just like incredible honor to me. I find that as I continue to acknowledge those experiences, but not allow that to become an integral part of my identity and the core of who I am, and I'm focused on my goals and ambitions and continue to do hard things, I continue to be put in positions that I never even imagined, right? And so I find that when you go through difficult things in life, whether it's trauma or addiction or just anything that's perceivably hostile or negative in your life, I think those same things that have hurt you can be the same things that help you and help those around you. And it's not something, that you should be ashamed of. And it's not a weakness, it's just part of your story. But your story doesn't end there. Right. There is life beyond that. I think all of us sitting here today is a living testimony to that we owe it to ourselves and the world to continue to be an expression of that.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing because, I think if more people in positions, and I consider you a high performer.
Thank you.
Business owner,
Thank you.
Counselor, I think if more people were open that have achieved a level of success, that it would help, I'm sure there were struggles that went along with being a survivor of domestic violence, fear of a new relationship.
Sure. All the things.
Who
am I outside of this relationship?
Yeah. So, and I think it's important to share those types of things from people that are high performers, because then what it does is that stigma that goes along with mental health in general. Like, we all have bodies, we all have physical health, we all have brains, we all have feelings, we all have mental health, right?
Absolutely.
So there should not be this stigma around it because we're all the same, really.
Absolutely. You know, and your trauma does not have to define you. And there's a life beyond that. And so I think also, like, coming from trauma or any kind of difficulty in your life, I think helps you all the more reason to be able to empathize with people who are having maybe a unique, a similar struggle, or, even if it's not a similar struggle, I think you can empathize with what it feels like to feel alone or to feel hopeless or helpless, or you be questioning, the state of your life and how you've arrived to this place and where you're going, So I think as a professional, it only benefits me to be open about my experiences, and because I'm able to understand where they're coming from more closely and relate and empathize with that. Like, no, you're not weird. Like, I get it, and you're not alone, and there is potential and there's a hope for your future. This is not where it ends.
I think empathy is like the fertilizer of connection, right?
Absolutely.
And being able to, like, I personally haven't been involved with domestic violence on either side, but I can relate to just pain.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I always say relate. I heard it in a meeting. Someone said it to me, and I use it and reuse it and recycle it repeatedly, but it's relate, don't compare.
Right.
Right. So we could sit here and be like, well, and I actually have someone in my inner circle that I'm dealing with this, where it's like, well, I just drink. Adam was a junkie. And meanwhile, this individual still drinks.
Right.
So there is one difference. I quit. He hasn't.
Right.
So it's like we could, get out and have a pissing contest to see who, and you get into that, and then there's no connection. It's just like division, right? So
absolutely,
the more we can empathize with each other on completely different experiences, the more connection we create with other people.
Absolutely. And then there's research to even back that, that social connection and community can do three things. It can increase the quality of your life, it can increase the longevity of your life, and it can reduce your risk of suicide. There's been research to indicate that being disconnected and living in isolation is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Listen, not a smoker, but I wouldn't personally want the health implications or the mental health implications that come with that, so all the more reason to be engaging. And then secondly, it's been, research has shown that it can take like up to 15 years off of your life, so even if you consider yourself to be like normally like an introverted person, like human beings are built for connection. We still need people, even if that is like your personality trait. And then as it relates to quality of life, like the research shows that human connection and engagement can increase just your overall functioning. They've done research with, specifically the elderly population, and being disconnected can impact their physical mobility, walking upstairs, things of that nature. And that when we are more connected and less isolative, obviously our functioning increases. So that's kind of like a message to our viewers. Have you checked on mom and dad lately? Have you checked on grandma and grandpa? Like, they need you, and we can't abandon them. Like, they need people too, and so they're often an overlooked demographic. And so making a point to connect with them, I think, is important. And then as it relates to suicide, obviously, more and more we're seeing kind of a crisis, a loneliness crisis in our youth. I think the stats is 58% of youth say they have adequate emotional support at home, or just in general. And that 20% of youth have stated that they have seriously contemplated ending their life. You know, so
we
all
gotta
the
do better as a
we have
society.
to do better.
We gotta
And
do better.
exactly, and it starts in the home. I am under the impression it starts in the home. I'm the youth that I've worked with are like eating dinner in isolation in their rooms, right? They're playing their video games. They're on their phone, endlessly scrolling. Like parents, like the takeaway message here is, have you checked in with your children lately? Like, have you asked them how they're doing? Not just what they're doing, not just what accomplishments they have, not just how good their grades are. Have you asked them how they're doing? Like, what are they going through in their life right now? Like, we have to have some element of accountability there, and there has to be a space of trust that children can feel comfortable coming to their parents and truly like getting that level of support and their guidance. Otherwise, they're kind of left to fend for themselves, and they're depressed and they're anxious and they're isolating and they're considering suicide, right? And so oftentimes what I'm doing in a room, in our sessions can also be done at home. Right? So if there's one takeaway from that I'm very passionate about is like check in with your kids. Just like have that trusting, loving, engaging relationship with them. I think that can go a far way in helping to mitigate some of these mental health concerns that the younger generation is experiencing.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is understated.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it is the increase in technology. So from when we grew up, like I just seen this thing, we're the last generation to grow up outside or something. The 90s, 80s, 90s babies.
Yeah. I feel like we were blessed to have been experienced that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me feel bad for
Yeah.
a lot of the kids because it's not like Saturday morning cartoons. It's not
Right.
bike rides with
Right,
friends.
yeah.
It's not, hey, let's go to the ball
Right,
field. We
right.
got a bucket of balls and a bat. Let's play home run derby.
Yeah.
Like,
Come inside when it gets dark type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when the lights come on. So it's saddening that
Yeah.
people aren't going to have those. Those are core childhood memories for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what are the core childhood memories going to be for the kids today?
Yeah.
Looking at their phones,
Yeah.
looking at their tablets, playing Fortnite.
Right. And I think also with that said, with the pressures that come with social media, I think the youth are interested more so in perceptions of how they want society or their peers to view them rather than identity. And I think that we have an identity crisis in our youth, not just an isolation crisis, but an identity crisis. And a lot of times when I'm working with these kids, I'm seeing that they're not really sure who they are. They're not really sure that they have purpose or that their life has meaning. And so I think that's the role of parents coming alongside them and helping them to make meaning of that and helping to scaffold and shape that in their day-to-day lives so that they can see that there is life outside of social media and that your life cannot be summed up based on appearances, like what you look like or how much money you have or, you know, how cool you are, you know, to other people. There has to be something beyond that.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a perfect spot to wrap up here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you carry the message that you heard today with the people around you. Don't forget to share with your friends, family, strangers, your neighbors, whoever. Have a great day. Thanks again.